So Barb, now that you have your bird, the first thing you're doing is taking the stuffing out?
I'm taking out the stuffing and making sure it's at temperature and actually getting some of it in the bowl. Because you want to make sure that your stuffing has gotten heated thoroughly so you don't give anyone a tummy ache.
So what are you doing now?
I'm taking the temperature of my stuffing that's made out of challah bread.
And what temperature should it be?
It should be 160.
So what are you doing now, Barb?
I am going to lift my turkey out, and it's very heavy, and it's stuck.
Need help?
There we go.
Those are nice strings you have.
Yeah, it came with my turkey, which I think is kind of cool. So I'm going to cover that with foil and let it rest.
So you cover the turkey and let it rest for how long?
At least 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so pan's out of the oven, turkey's out of the pan, and there's all this love in the bottom of the pan. So you need to, if you have a flat bottom scraper, that's the best thing to use. Oh gosh, look at all that goodness. Alright, I love gravy. Actually, I just love pans. If no one was watching right now, I would just be eating this junk on the bottom of the pan.
There's some pieces of stuffing in it, but that's accidental, is that correct?
Yeah, the stuffing might fall out of the bird. You don't have to use all this brown stuff, but I'm going to because I think it adds so much flavor. You'll see some stores actually have like browning liquid, and I don't really understand using that when you've got all this nice stuff in your pan that it will be good for making your gravy. Okay, so we're going to let this sit for a second. I actually might take the big chunk out. And we're going to separate our fat from our nice drippings. The fat should be going to the top, and the dripping should be on the bottom. Mine are all clumped up right now, so let it sit for a second. Yes, I removed the drippings. Now, you can see in here where the fat is and where the the drippings are. So I'm going to try to calculate how much fat I have. There's a way to do it skimming, but I have such little fat. I'm such a skinny turkey. So we're at about 2. And there's skimmers for this and fat separators. You can buy all those gadgets, but this is good. I think we're going to be about 3 tablespoons of fat. So we're going to get this heating up.
So you bought a bird that exercised a lot.
She either exercised a lot or she was anorexic. One of the two. That already tastes good. I'm going to put equal amount of flour in here. And then I'm going to use what's called a gravy whisk and just mix it up. So I did 3 tablespoons of fat, so I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of flour. Whoops. And remember, your pan's going to be hot, so don't be the one who burns yourself on Thanksgiving. And to hold your pan, use your hand. And you want to cook this long enough to get that flour taste out, that raw flour taste out. You want sort of a nutty, woody flavor. Now since I see that this part of my pan is not getting hot, I'm turning on my other burner so that my whole pan is going to have the same kind of heat. If you have a gas stove, this works a heck of a lot better. Now I'm going to let this sit for a second, So I had, for every tablespoon of fat and every tablespoon of flour, I'm going to add 1 cup of liquid. I've already got about a 1/4 cup here. Yes, you should be making your own stock. I did not make my own stock today.
The liquid is chicken broth?
I'm using chicken broth. You can use turkey broth. You can use vegetable broth. I just am a fan of chicken broth. You can use the turkey stock that you make out of the giblets. Now, this is where you want to go kind of slowly with your liquid. This is where lumps are born.
Lumps are bad.
Well, I don't think lumps are bad, but you don't want a lump of flour. So I'm going to be adding 3 cups total liquid.
1 cup per tablespoon.
Yes, it's going to be 1 tablespoon fat, 1 tablespoon flour to 1 cup liquid. And if you got a little wine in the house, you can always add a little wine too.
Good thing you studied in math class.
Yes, this is where you need to do the math. I mean, there's a certain amount of fudging you can do, but the last thing you want to do is wreck the gravy. I know for years I would keep like a packet of the, powdered gravy in my pantry. In the rare case I screwed up the gravy, and I finally got rid of it all because I never used it, because this is just so much better. You can see it's thickening up nicely. Got some good color. We're going to add some of our other drippings near the end to get a little more color in it. But this is one of those slow and steady wins the race type of things. There's no hurry to get it done. Your turkey's resting, taking a little nap. People are getting grumpy. Tell them to go eat an appetizer that you brought that hopefully is not a carrot stick. One of my friends was the one that actually asked me to make the video. I'm not very comfortable doing videos yet, but she wanted to see the magic happen. Now at this point, your flour is pretty much mixed in there. You can add your broth a little bit faster. And you're going to want this, there's a piece of stuffing in there, and that's okay. You're going to want this to reduce, but you need to keep stirring.
How long are you going to keep stirring?
I'm going to keep stirring till it gets nice and thick. I'll stop for maybe a second here or there because my arm will get tired. You can see it's starting to thicken up. You move the pan a little, you can see it. This is one of those things where it's probably the only time I don't think my electric stove is as good as a gas stove, because it's really hard to have even heat on the electric stove compared to a gas stove. So this is kind of a point where if I had a pan ready, I might dump this all in a pan and just stir with a regular whisk. But because at this point you've gotten all the good flavor out of the pan. It looks pretty. You got some nice brownness. So you can see how nicely it's thickening up. When it gets a little bit thicker and reduces a little more, that's when you want to season it. You don't want to season it too early. Because remember, you've just put all this broth in here, which is salty, and the salt is going to make it... the salt in the broth is going to reduce. And this is going to get more concentrated. As it gets more concentrated, things are going to get saltier, and you don't want to serve people a big mouthful of salt.
The tilting.
Tilting, I'm just trying to see how thick it's getting, get a better idea of where I'm at.
And you have your settings on about 8 out of 10 on both of the burners.
On both my burners, which is a medium-high. I'm probably actually going to lower it now because my pan's getting pretty hot.
You're lowering it down to about 3
I'm
to
lowering
2.
to low. My pan's hot. It's thickening. I don't want it to get too thick. It's going to keep reducing.
Meanwhile, the lazy bird is resting.
It's just resting.
It's resting.
It's go night-night.
That is a lot of stirring that you're doing.
Well, that is one way to have nice, smooth gravy.
You've maybe done 10 minutes of stirring?
About. I'm going to grab a tasting spoon.
Ooh, this is exciting. Watching of the tasting. Never use the same spoon twice.
When you're on camera. Oh, that's good.
And in the sink it goes as the proof. There's a code of conduct.
Yes, there is. I'm adding a little pepper at this point. And I've got a little Maldon flaky sea salt.
Moldon. Is that a brand name?
It's a brand name. But it's nice and flaky. It's easy to put in here. And I'm going to probably let this go a couple more minutes, and then we're going to call it gravy.